this is alarming for me. It's a guy that's been at the West Coast Eagles for 5 years.
Yes.
He's a club champion. I think his output's been good. I don't think he's achieved the absolute consistent heights of what he did at Geelong, but it was a different club at that time, a different team, different style.
And if they didn't give up what they gave up, people wouldn't even bother mentioning it. They'd say he's been a very good player for a long time.
Very true. So have a listen to this. This was Tim Kelly. So the media had a chance to chat to him yesterday in regards to previewing the Indigenous All-Stars game on Saturday night. Have a listen to this and see if you're concerned as an Eagles fan.
I'd be lying if I said like my love of the game hasn't been, great over the last couple of years. So for me, I'm just, obviously there's a lot of contract talk and this and that, but I'm just, trying to love the game again, and hopefully that comes. It's been a tough few years, and I'm not the only one. There's, everyone here's been working really hard and not really getting much reward. So it's been frustrating for sure, to say the least.
He's brought the whole group into it,
Oh,
He's brought the whole group.
There's a few of us. It's not just me. It's a few of us. Look, you understand when you're having the last few seasons that the Eagles have had, you're not loving work. There's no doubt about that. But your love for the game, that's a little bit separate. I think that's different. And when you look at him, the way he plays now, he doesn't play with a lot of emotion, Tim Kelly, does he? So you go, well, that makes sense to me because he doesn't look like he's been a player that's loving work. And we comment on the guys that look like, when we talk about Paddy Voss from Freo, when he plays, he gets a handball and it results a goal and he's high-five and everybody's just pumped to be out there as you find. Now, not everyone's like that, but Tim Kelly hasn't, and I probably haven't thought about it until I've heard that, and you go, well, he hasn't played like a bloke who's loving the game. He does his work and he gets it done, but doesn't play with any emotion, or it doesn't look like the adrenaline's really ripping through him, does it? But hopefully with a change of coach or change of environment and a bit more success, and that love of the game comes back. But if it affects your output and it affects your work ethic, then that's when you have to consider whether you continue to play or not.
I don't think he will leave West Coast.
No.
But if there's contract talks, been there 5 years, his love of the game has diminished. He's trying to rejuvenate that this year. Would you go after him as a rival club? And
how old's he now?
30. And would 31 in July? Would West Coast be within their rights and reasons to put him up for trade? Because he's not going to be there when they're going to be a force.
Well, they have to watch him day to day. They have to see how he behaves around the group and his, like I said, his training ethic, his work ethic. And if that looks like it's diminishing in any way, shape or form, and it looks like it might be having an effect on other players, then absolutely they have to look at it.
And it can only be Fremantle because...
You won't go anywhere else?
Well, the club moved heaven and earth, and I mean heaven and earth, to get his family settled back in Western Australia to the extreme. And rightfully so. He's got his young fella, young son. One of his sons requires lots of attention and lots of family unity around him, and that was a huge attraction to come back because West Coast promised that and delivered.
That makes it a bit different, doesn't it?
And
because
delivered.
For anyone else, you'd say, well, you know what? At 31, you might only have 2 or 3 years left in you. Just go wherever you want to go. Go wherever it's going to reignite your passion for the game, and then come home. Home's always going to be here.
Sure.
But if you do have those underlying issues where you do need help around you, your family support around you, then that makes it a different situation.
So Fremantle fans, 13 12 55 or 0487 367 if Tim Kelly is on the table for a deal to trade out, would you want him? Now, they've been the big critics. Fremantle fans have been the biggest, and fans, not the club, fans have been incredibly critical of West Coast and the deal that was done to get him.
Yeah.
Right.
Long time ago.
0487 736 736.
Fremantle wouldn't go after him. They wouldn't need him. I don't think... Does Tim Kelly fit into Fremantle's midfield right now? I don't think he does. But I'm hell-bent on him. On Freo at the moment, I think they have all the pieces. I don't think Tim Kelly pushes anyone out of Fremantle's midfield right now. Again,
it's top of my head. I think he does because I don't think the way that he's been forced to play at West Coast is not the way he was playing at Geelong. Correct, because they had Selwood and they had all the other
Chapmans
pieces,
and those sort of pieces.
Dangerfield, and they had all those bulls through there.
Yeah.
all of a sudden you've got Tim Kelly was the outside. He was the connecting piece to Hawkins and the forward line. At West Coast, he's sort of been...
Had to go be a ball winner.
Correct. And that's not his shtick. But at Fremantle, they've already got Sarong and Brayshaw who do all that bullocking work.
Yeah.
I know Bolton is going to come in, but he will play half forward mid rather than mid half
and he's
forward.
more outside than inside.
Correct. So you've got a balance of one that can do both.
Hayden Young's in there getting the footy as well. So who does he push out then if he went to Fremantle? Who would he push out? And these are purely hypotheticals. We're just...
Well, he certainly gets in ahead of Erasmus. As much as I think Erasmus has got a future, I think right now, or next year, beyond. Again, this is absolutely shooting the breeze. Fremantle fans, Tim Kelly, would he be on your radar? And this is not a personal. We don't need you to get personal. Just let us know if Tim Kelly is available and not at the extreme levels of the high level of contract financials. Would you consider as a football club thinking that he could be worth going after?
I think what happens for Tim Kelly now, it's a strange thing for a player to say because it's going to put a spotlight on that attitude.
Very much so.
And we will watch him now.
Very much so. Brought on by himself.
Brought on by himself. That's what I'm saying. It's a strange thing for an athlete to say about themselves. As I said, it will bring attention towards how he looks out on the field, body language. And body language is a strange one because everybody's different, and some people are up and about, others are just get the job done sort of thing. Tim Kelly's not a flamboyant footballer, but we'll be watching now to see if he looks like he loves the game again. It's an unnecessary. I think it's an unnecessary thing to say, and it's an unnecessary bit of attention that'll be going to him now.
No doubt. 009 straight swap with Erasmus. No way. We don't need Tim Kelly. How would he fit into our team, though? He is a great player. But we have Erasmus and other young players, says Christian. So there's the flip. So you've got two Fremantle fans with completely different attitudes. One saying swap him with Erasmus, the other saying we don't need him in our side. He wouldn't get a game ahead of Erasmus and other young players. No way, we don't need Tim Kelly. He wouldn't fit into our team. Ryan Angwin's a star, says Paul. Why was Tim Kelly linked to Fremantle last year's trade period? I don't think Tim Kelly is a great fit for Fremantle. That's my opinion. A lot of other texts as well. So keep them coming in as well. Let's go to Shane from Mundajong. He wants to talk about Tim Kelly, and you can join in too. 13 12 55. Shane, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. After hearing Tim Kelly yesterday, very, very disappointed in the man. Like you touched on before, the Eagles moved heaven and earth to secure a deal. We paid overs. We also set up his family, making sure that they're happy and look after him and everything. And then, if I was in his position, I'd be grateful and I'd be talking up the positivity about the young people, the young club, appreciate everything that the club's done for me, not to sit there and bag him. And two, who's advising him when he's talking? Because how's he going to go in his next contract when his manager goes, oh, no, Tim wants to play, he wants to play for the Eagles? Hang on a minute. Your player just told us that he's lost the love of the game. Why should we pay X amount of dollars if he's not going to give us 100%? Well, I don't know. Look, as an Eagles supporter, I'm very disappointed. The guy want to just have a good look at himself and think how lucky he is. And that's all I have to say, fellas. I'm pretty disappointed.
Good on you, Shane. Thank you. So there it is there. Do you agree with that, Shane from Mundajong? Now, one thing we've got to be mindful of is that Tim Kelly was in a press conference situation. I don't know the question. I'd be interested to know if he could go to the press conference and actually hear what the question was. But I appreciate his honesty. But that was almost too honest. 009 says he's actually an Eagles fan, so that's interesting. So he actually wants to swap and get Erasmus back. We'll go to Paul from Gosnells in a moment. Also, West Coast, clearing the decks financially for Chad Warner. Has all of a sudden Tim Kelly become perfect financial incentive to clear some
well, obviously
dollars.
the talk first started about Warner going to Fremantle, didn't it? It was all Fremantle.
Yep.
Do you believe now that
It's
West Coast, it's West Coast or no one?
No, I think West Coast are just
But
the
they're in the
favourites.
box seat.
Are the favourites.
Relationships with Pike.
Chad Warner wants to play with Harley Reid. I think you'll find that's the big attraction.
Oh, that could be awkward in a year or two then.
Well, I think that Harley Reid wants to play with Chad Warner.
Could be appealing then.
Yeah, exactly
Oh,
right.
so excited.
So I genuinely
Fast forward a
think
bit.
Chad Warner is excited, one, of getting back to WA. I think he'd be very comfortable playing with either club. But the mail I'm getting is he has made no secret that he would like to play with Harley Reid.
The most exciting thing about that for me is how good that would be for Harley Reid, because they're both similar players, but Chad Warner can do it for a lot longer.
Yep.
He can do it for 4 quarters, Chaddy Warner. Well, Harley Reid can...
Because he's had that experience?
Yeah, absolutely, because he's had the pre-seasons into him, and he also knows how hard he has to work. I'm not sure Harley understands just yet how hard he has to work if he's going to maintain and be an elite player for a long time. I think he's got a bit of a wake-up coming. But I think it'd be amazing for Harley Reid to be around Chad Warner as a role model.
Our texts are busy. Agree with Shane. In a contract year, bizarre. You say you don't love the game. Play it down, says Johnny. And Leon from Hocking on your barrel. Nah, West Coast can keep him. He would be 31 next year and would just stifle younger players' development. So
I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to stifle
he's a good player.
development.
He's a very good player.
I'm not sure where he doesn't. I don't think he fits in Fremantle's side at the moment. And if he does, he's going to have to learn a different role than come in and pinch hit in the middle, like a Switkowski does, or someone like that. So
you're not going to get paid $800,000 for being a pinch hitter.
No, you're not.
All righty.
I don't know Tim Kelly, but I don't know if he's going to make 800 outside of football.
Me neither. Paul from Gosnells is online. Cristani, nice to have a chat to you in 2025.
Can we ask you about names?
Yeah, names on jumpers.
Welcome back, boys.
Yeah. Names on jumpers.
Well, on a serious note, back when they tried names on jumpers before, everyone had 18-inch screens. Now everyone's got big bloody 65-inch screens. They'll actually be able to read them. So it might actually work.
So you're selfless, Paul. You're thinking of others. That's brilliant by you.
That's it. Just listening to the discussion about Harley Reid, is any chance Harley Reid could go to Sydney if he wants to play with Chad Warner?
No, it's very much the other way.
Okay, what I was ringing about is I hear all the time how much West Coast gave up for Tim Kelly. Now, if you look at the players that were taken in with those 3 picks they gave up, and obviously this is all subjective because that could have changed. They may not have picked those players, but they missed out on. If you look at the exact picks, they missed out on Cooper Stephen, not even on the list. Ryan Angwin, struggling to get a game with the Giants, and Jeremy Sharp, who was unloved by Gold Coast and doing okay at Freo. But you give me those 3 or Tim Kelly, I'm taking Tim Kelly every day of the week.
Yeah. So learned.
Jeremy Sharp went at 27 in one of those drafts. Chad Warner went at 39. It's very unlikely they would have taken someone who went 12 picks later with pick 27. It's very, very easy to say they gave all this up, but in the reality is they probably done reasonably okay out of that trade. There was one of those drafts was the COVID draft, and there wasn't really a lot of talent in that draft at all. The young fella who did his hammy at Geelong, he was probably the pick of them that would have been available. Mr. Grand Final. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Sorry, boys, but I just think they haven't done as badly as people think.
Max Holmes?
Max Holmes.
Yeah.
Max Holmes.
Yeah. And at the end of the
Max
day,
Holmes went a couple of picks after one of those guys.
Thank you, Paul.
Good on you,
Have
Paul.
a look at the draft when you've got way too much time on your hands and check it out for yourself.
Will do. Good on you, mate. There's Paul Cristani.
We don't need to, mate. You're doing it for us.
Exactly.
Continue to do that, please.
All righty.
But at the end of the day, Paul's spent the money. They've got a very, very good player, better than average player, very, very good player. He's a club champion.
He's been a good player for them. Go back over his stats. He's been a terrific player. But it's really the tone of what he said yesterday. And again, we've now put to the lads. We've tracked down the actual question from the journo, which so we've heard the Tim Kelly. Does that have his response as well as both? So here we go. So this is Tim Kelly yesterday, speaking at the press conference, talking about loss for the love of the game. Let's put it into context with the question from the journo.
Your name was thrown up a little bit last year before trade period, and then obviously you ran a contract this year. Are you hopeful to re-sign at West Coast?
Yeah, look, definitely. It's probably something that'll work itself out. My manager, works pretty hard in that space, and for me, it's just about just honing in on what I got to do, get my body right. I'd be lying if I said my love of the game hasn't been great over the last couple of years.
So He just brought it on himself.
Yeah.
There was no
Simple answer
method.
is absolutely. I'd love to re-sign with West Coast.
Yeah.
I still don't. All he's done there for me is create a spotlight for himself.
Yep.
I'm still more alarmed at Oscar Allen's response to his contract than Tim Kelly saying his love for the game hasn't been great. I understand that. They've been getting their pants pulled down for 2 years now. It's been horrible, and it's tough to continue. In 2000, 2001, we weren't great at West Coast, and it's not hard to go to work because I still loved what I did, but it was a different environment, and it wasn't a pleasure to walk in every day because you knew you had some serious work to do. But so I understand that his love for the game's probably waned a little bit, but I'd never say that to anybody.
Some text in. Tom, Warner would rather play with Sarong, Young, Brayshaw, Tracy, Amos and Jackson. Also, Warner will want to play finals and win flags. West Coast won't be doing that for the next 20 years.
20. Tom. Come on, mate.
Scotty says, morning, gents. I get where Tim Kelly's coming from. I fell out of love for work 25 years ago. And Ray says, what is Sydney's asking price if Warner wants out?
He's out of contract.
Yeah, well, he'll be a restricted free agent, but it might just be.
Restricted free agent, correct me if I'm wrong, just means that you get a chance to match what the rivals offer.
The decks will be cleared at West Coast to get him.
Yeah.
They're going to be there, and they are going to have a lot of picks and a lot of money.
Mm. Well, are they though? Because they're going to have to pay Harley a bit to keep him. Mm. That's going to take him a big chunk. Gov doesn't play for free.
No, but he wouldn't be getting the money. He would not be getting the same money. That's just one player.
He likes his money.
He does. He works hard for his money. 0487736736. It's a good topic to talk about. Tim Kelly fans, if you're out there, pump up Tim Kelly. He's played some good footy as a club champion.
Absolutely.
He's been there 5 years now. We've had our chat thanks to Macca's. The delicious new Brekkie McWrap is even more reason for a pre-work Macca's run.